Hey, welcome to All Sports with Joe and George. This is show number 6, I believe, miraculously.
Six in a row, what do you know?
So, got actually a lot to talk about. It's kind of like that weird part of the calendar where we've got, NBA is always interesting. NFL's over, but there's a lot to talk about with the draft. And this is always an exciting time for me because we've got Major League Baseball getting started. All the teams have reported. Games will start in a few days here. I think actually this show will air the day that of the first exhibition games, which is exciting. Yeah. In golf, and I always talk about golf, so Joe can't interrupt because he's got nothing to go on here. Golf is in full swing. Actually, Tiger missed a cut out at Riviera and kind of last minute fortunately he missed a cut on Friday afternoon before the deadline, so went over to West Palm to play in the Honda.
How's his health? I mean, is he 100% now?
It's been pretty good, although the day that we're taping this, during the Pro-Am, they did a little cut-in, because it's Tiger Woods on the Golf Channel during their morning drive show. They had a guy out on the golf course just with a handheld camera, and they were showing Tiger, and I don't know where this is going to go, but he looked really tender, really tight. You could see how he was walking and things like that. Seemed to be hitting some pretty good shots, but coming off of multiple surgeries and things like that, this would be certainly the first test where he's playing a lot of golf in a row.
It's funny because I actually watched a little bit on the Golf Channel. I don't know what came over me, but I watched it. And one of the guys was saying,
did you lose the remote? Is that what happened?
Yeah. One of the guys was saying about how, I'll get too technical, but Tiger is so muscular, has such a tight front side that they knew eventually it would take the wear and tear of his knee, right?
Yeah.
Like his front knee.
Yeah, and he had had some knee surgery, and there was a lot of talk. He's been with a lot of different coaches, throughout his professional career, and with some of those, the action that he was using on his left leg is certainly
how prevalent is weightlifting or weight training in golfers now? Does that seem to be more and more?
Weight training's gotten much more popular.
Some of these guys are jacked pretty good.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, so that was a long time ago. Back say going into the early '80s, lifting weights for a golfer was still taboo. You're going to get muscle bound. You can't do it. A guy named Keith Clearwater was the first guy I remember who came out one year and all of a sudden he was jacked. But it's an interesting topic. There's a guy on the Golf Channel is always saying exactly that. They're lifting too many weights. They're going to get hurt. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Rory McIlroy, who's always entertaining to watch because he's such a good player, but he's as entertaining in his interviews because he doesn't hold anything back.
Right.
And this is going back to 2 years ago now when he decided he was not going to go play in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the big name players around the world said we're not going to go to the Olympics, and they were mostly blaming the Zika virus at the time. I haven't really heard anything about the Zika virus basically since. But in that same interview, they were really hammering him about missing the Olympics, and he's had a number of injuries early in his career. He's still a young man.
People would say, "How the heck can you get injured in golf, and how does it happen?" How would you answer that?
It's a very violent sport at that level. You're taking a golf. These guys are swinging a golf club at 125, 30 miles an hour.
Violent action,
and there's a lot of repetition. You're not. In a round of golf, you might hit a driver. These guys hit drivers, 6, 7, 8 times, but it takes a lot of wear and tear on the body. But they addressed that with McIlroy, the criticism that you're lifting too many weights and that's leading to injury, and the longevity of his career. And it was the first time that I had heard somebody honestly answer that question. And so McIlroy said, "Look, don't assume that I intend to play this game until I'm 55 or 58 years old, which is the normal thing as a guy, plays into his 40s, from 45 to 50s, kind of that gray area. He's playing a little bit maybe on exemptions or whatever else, but he's still trying to stay kind of sharp to get onto the Champions Tour when he turns 50. And McIlroy made, a very, very honest point that he has no intention of doing that. Mm-hmm. And so professional golfers at that level are starting, I think, to treat their career more like a Major League Baseball player, an NFL player, something like that. I know 30, Brady's going to play until he's 45.
35.
But, when you're signing $80 million endorsement deals and things like that, there isn't a need to play, whereas a generation earlier, you had guys that were winning a lot of tournaments, but the money just wasn't there.
Well, it's like anything else. Any sport, obviously, you have to stay healthy, you stay on the field or on the court or on the course, whatever it may be. If you're not healthy and injured, you can't make any money, and you can't, market your brand.
Yeah, and hitting the ball as long as they do now, it's not an option. Again, go back a generation, you had guys that hit it a mile, and then you had the straighter hitters and things like that, and they could both win. Yeah. That era of golf is I'm not saying the shorter hitter can't win, but you're not going to see it nearly as often. Right. So that stereotypical tall, skinny tour guy isn't around anymore, because you got McIlroy's not a big man. He's small, and I remember seeing him before he started lifting weights, and there wasn't not a lot to him, but now he's hitting the ball 320 yards, and that's a huge advantage.
Now, technically, does golf have a off season or a lull downtime?
Nah, I mean a little bit, but not like it used to be.
Like other sports where you have like a whole season, like 4 or 5 months.
Not like it used to be. But what they're doing now is, it's very rare for a guy to actually play 3 weeks in a row. Okay. So that they might play 3 weeks in a row, take 2 weeks off, play 2 weeks, and so go back and forth. But the way with a lot of the funny season tournaments as we get around the holidays, Christmas, New Year's in there's not a lot going on for a few weeks in there. But these guys, they'll travel all over the world, and to go over and play in Turkey or the UAE or something like that, these American players make a lot of money because they can pay endorsement money or not show up money, basically. So they'll pay Tiger Woods $1 million to come play in a tournament. They can't do that in the U.S.
But the average player will actually have to pay for his own hotels, travel,
they all do.
All that stuff. Right? So that's why it's a tough thing. Unless you get sponsors and things like that.
Yeah, the guy who's playing the PGA Tour he's an independent contractor. Okay. So he's paying for his caddy, he's paying for his travel,
if he's not winning, he's basically losing money, right?
Once you make it on the PGA Tour, even a guy that, like, say maybe you haven't heard of, there's still endorsement money for him from his club manufacturer, what logo he's going to wear on his shirt, whatever it happens to be. And then on a week-to-week basis, they all have to play in the Wednesday Pro-Am. So if you're in the field, you have to play in that, and they get paid to play in that. And then the younger guys will also play. There's a Monday Pro-Am. So if they play in the Monday Pro-Am and the Wednesday Pro-Am, they're bringing enough money, even if they don't make the cut, to pay for their hotel and pay for their caddy. Okay. But again, if you don't make the cut, you don't make a penny.
It's like every other. I had an amazing stat. If I heard this correctly, 1% of all college football players make it to the NFL. 80% try to.
Okay.
So that just shows you
So 80% of the kids playing Division I, I'm assuming, college football.
Their goal is to be a pro football player.
Okay. So they will put their name in the draft.
Yeah, and look toward it as a goal to make it to the NFL, and then actually 1% actually do make it to the NFL, which is, you're talking about, what, 320 maybe Division I college teams, and you got the 2s and 3s and all the other factions of different levels of football. But generally speaking, 1% of all college players make the NFL, and 80% aspire to make the NFL. That's how fine it is. That's an amazing thing I heard.
And probably in golf, the numbers are probably worse.
It's amazing.
There's thousands and thousands and thousands of golfers trying to get to. There's really,
and you can't compare it to other. A comparison would be like, say, American Idol, The Voice, the other shows. There's such a fine line between, everyone has tremendous talent.
Oh, absolutely.
There's such a fine line between who goes to that next level, who's at this lower level, who gets a big break, whether it's looks, connections, whatever it may be. It's just, I guess once you make it, you're good, but up to that point, I mean, it's just, the odds are so against you. What about, what do you think of Fergie at the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game? Quite a rendition of the...
That was an interesting rendition. I did like the way she handled it, though. The next day, she did put on Twitter. She's like, "Hey, I tried something. I think she said I'm an artistic and I take chances." And she apologized that it didn't come off
the other thing
as intended. So it wasn't like a Roseanne Barr disrespectful type thing.
Obviously, I mean, the Star Spangled Banner is one thing you don't mess with. National anthem, you just don't mess with it because it's too risky. Yeah, it's just too risky.
But boy, people have it.
I mean, there was a couple of NBA guys who actually holding back after in the line there. You know, and you got to give her credit though. She did try something different, and she's really she's amazing, a great person. But and then she yelled out, "Let's play basketball" at the end, which was kind of funny. But I thought the All-Star game format was very good. It was refreshing. They actually played hard. Played good basketball. Teams were evenly matched. It looked like they wanted to win. Play some defense.
That was
great.
There was actually effort. As opposed to
it was a genius idea. I thought, you know, having LeBron and Steph Curry pick their teams. And so it was a mixed match of East and West.
Obviously, too bad that it wasn't televised. That was a big conversation going back a month or so ago.
That's the next thing.
It would have been nice to see.
There's a couple of ideas out there where they pick their teams on the Friday night of the weekend, televised, and there's also another movement to pick the teams right before the game. That's kind of interesting, like a pickup game.
Just go shirts and skins.
Pretty much, So that would be. I don't know how that would work.
One of the conversations about not televising is they didn't want the last guy picked to get televised. You know, it's like the last guy in the parking lot. But the NHL does a similar format, and one year I guess some auto manufacturer or whatever else was going to donate a car to whoever got picked last. And you know, guys were like, they were actually wanting to get picked last because, hey, I need a car. Do I need a car, or do I? You know, somebody's going to give me a free car. I'm pretty happy. Tying in a little bit of the All-Star game with golf, Bubba Watson. You know, talented, young, you know, pretty popular player with a lot of the younger kids, especially. Actually played in the celebrity
game,
All-Star game on Saturday.
It wasn't bad.
He did okay. And then more importantly, what did he do Sunday? The day after the tournament, he went and he won the tournament. So it was kind of cool.
See that? That was karma. Along with that, I thought it was interesting what the Cavs did a couple weeks ago. I mean, we could clean house.
Traded their whole team.
Got rid of everybody.
They traded half their roster, right?
I thought it was genius. I mean, I thought it was a great move. It was obvious the way they had it set up. The players that had it, they weren't going to do anything. It just they looked like they were. I would say old, but they were old, slow, you know, disinterested, no effort, and it was tough to watch. And LeBron, you know, how many years does he have left? And as great as he is, and he was banging his head against the wall. Like, what am I going to do with these guys? And they got younger, faster, quicker. Get rid of all those guys. And the funny part about it, ironically, he might have cleared cap space in the Lakers. So if LeBron wants to go there next year, you know, but that's
they did a poll of. They polled a bunch of players, and the consensus was that he would go back to.
No, I don't think anyone knows. I mean, there's so many other factors between now and then it could happen. The thing is, with the new Cavs, what I like, George Hill, I think was the key to that. To get, he's a veteran guard, plays great defense. You know, he's mature. He's been through the wars. Then you got the young guns, Jordan Clarkson and Nance, and then Rodney Hood's a great shooter. So I think they're going to be much improved and a team to reckon with. Now the other thing is interesting. I've been talking a little bit last week about reseeding the playoffs. Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen that.
They're going to take the East and the West. Was it East and West? No, 1 through 16, and seed them all,
regardless
of what East or West. So in other words, say right now they did it. Number 1 would be the Warriors. Number 2 would be I don't know who has the second best record in the NBA at this point. Is it maybe Toronto? I don't know. So just say Warriors are 1, Rockets are 2. Boston's 3, Toronto's 4, so on and so forth. So you have 16 teams. 1 plays 16, 2 plays 15, and so on.
Okay, doesn't matter what division,
doesn't matter where you're from. So I really, it's interesting to me. That's a kind of a neat idea.
For television, you know, I mean that would be the ideal situation, right? So you don't have, say, the 2 most exciting teams playing in an early round.
Well, see, you have such a shift of power the last couple of years with the stronger teams in the West, and you only have your Cleveland in the East, but now you got Boston coming out, and Toronto's pretty good.
Yeah, Boston had a little short kind of dip there.
But then you say, okay, the hard thing about the NBA in the past is like you have 3-4 teams, and nobody else has a chance.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be Warriors, Cleveland, maybe Houston, maybe at one point the Thunder, Toronto. You know, some of those teams have outside chance.
And next thing you know, it's the 4th of July, and you're cooking hot dogs and watching the NBA.
It's always Warriors and Cavs. I mean, why even bother playing 82 games before that? But I mean, obviously.
Yeah, like I say, I think for TV, it's a great idea. I mean, there was plenty of years where, you know, jumping over to say, American League East in baseball. There was a good stretch there where the Yankees and the Red Sox were clearly the best teams in the American League.
I don't know about you, but I'm not big on interleague baseball.
I hate it.
Yeah, I don't think it. I don't like that. I like the old World Series.
I don't even like American League baseball. I just want National League baseball.
Yeah, with no DH.
No DH.
Yeah,
games. You know, you can play a game in 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Right.
You can keep
but
going.
I got to give the NBA credit. I think they're stepping up to the plate with like new concepts and new ideas, and they're looking to make the game better without changing the core of the game, which I think is pretty neat. I mean, how do you do that in other sports? That's tough. I mean, football has a lot of parity for whatever reason, so they don't really have to look at it like the NBA is. Not the same teams every year with injuries and drafts and changes and free agency. So they don't have the parity they don't have the one dynasties like usually, except for maybe New England. But other than that, you get new teams in there all the time. And up and coming teams.
And then you have certain teams that never get in there.
Never get in there.
It's all going to change, Joe. By 2027, Jets are going to be good.
Back that truck up for Kirk Cousins, baby. $60 million.
$60 million, and somebody came.
It's a bargain.
And that might not be enough.
That'll make Johnny Unitas and Bart Starr roll over in their. Bart's still alive, but I saw also a special with Bill Polian who was talking about the draft. It's very interesting. He's a Hall of Famer, general manager, very, very smart. He kind of reminds me of a Bill Parcells disciple, where they're kind of old school, but they're also new school. He was saying how when teams draft, they want to draft to make your team better. Okay, which I think was very interesting, as opposed to drafting a named guy or what perception of the public, like you get these 3 quarterbacks. So I mean, okay, you could draft one of those 3 big quarterbacks coming up. Are they going to make you better? That's what he's looking at. And and you have to stay true to your philosophy that the guy that you draft is going to make you a better team. And you don't want to draft guys that are going to be an exception to the rule. Like Cam Newton is an exception to the rule as far as being a big quarterback. A couple guys, you don't want you guys looking to the exceptions. You want them to look to be themselves and be better. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 philosophies in the draft. What Polian's talking about. So I mean, basically, okay, you're drafting to get your team better, which means you're drafting what you need. And there's a number of teams need quarterbacks or whatever else. And the other philosophy is, I'm going to take the best athlete available. And I think if you're, say, a New England Patriots, you can take the best athlete available because there's some holes on the defense. But I mean, they're not horrible at any one position. Well, if you're the Jets or something like that, you need a quarterback.
Well, so many teams have so many needs, obviously, in all aspects of their offensive line, defensive line, receivers, everything. But the thing is that I think a lot of teams that get kind of like pushed into or peer pressure into and getting a certain guy because the public or their media or their they think let's take this guy. All of a sudden, it's push.
If Joey whoever's available at number 4, you got to
take him. And I think the better teams will take whoever they want, and they trust their scouts and their evaluation system. They think that this is what we need, and this is what we're going to take. Now, the other thing that always astounded me about football is the character issue. I would always take a high character guy that loves the game of football, that hasn't been in trouble, that's not going to get in trouble over some tremendous athlete that has issues. And I think a lot of teams will take these guys with issues, and they have issues in the NFL. Now, you're a certain kind of person. All of a sudden, you're a millionaire, a billionaire in the NFL. What do you think should have happened to you? Now you're a kind of an attitude guy with money. I mean,
now it could turn the right way.
Could turn around.
Okay,
I'm not saying it can't.
I did something in my freshman year of college. Now I'm 4 or 5 years later, and I'm more mature. So it could go that way. But like you say, it could get a lot worse.
Now let's talk about Aaron Hernandez. A little bit, but I'm going too in depth with that with him. He was always, when he's with his boys, his posse, he was a bad guy. But when he was away from them, he was fine in the structure and discipline of the Patriots. And even Urban Meyer said at Florida, whenever he went home on break, he'd come back a different guy. Until he got back into the flow of the University of Florida. So I mean, I think I guess the point being is that you've got to move on from your roots, or maybe some of the bad guys that you hang out with. I mean, that's a hard thing to do when you're loyal to these guys forever and ever and ever. I mean, a lot of guys don't do it. A lot of guys get down.
I was listening to an interview on, I think Joe Beningo or somebody had him on the Fan, not somebody with the Patriots. They were talking about it, and Aaron Hernandez wanted to get traded. He had gone to the Patriots and he wanted to get traded, and the logic was he knew he was he was with the wrong crowd and he couldn't distance himself from it. And it raised an interesting point of guys playing at home, guys playing, staying there, so their team is in their hometown or whatever else. Now, I mean, plenty of stories. There's guys on the Mets, guys on the Yankees that, I grew up in New York and it's my dream to be a Met or be but there's a downside to that too, because you've got all these hangers-on and things like that. So, but Aaron Hernandez had actually gone to the Patriots and wanted to get traded and wanted to get moved. He wanted to get away from the circle that he was in, because I think he knew he was in trouble.
Okay, yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting
It is, yeah.
point.
You get the new book came out, All-American Murder, with the author there, in case my memory. Very good author that wrote a book on him. It looked pretty interesting about his days in Bristol and stuff, in college, and then in prison. And he had a lot of issues in prison. I guess he was on solitary a lot and fights and this and that.
Sure.
And he had a lot of issues in there.
Yeah.
And it's just obviously sad situation.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, with the draft, Bill Polian said something very interesting. He was talking about Lamar Jackson of Louisville, former Heisman Trophy winner. He said that he thinks he should be a wide receiver, like right now.
Okay.
Like a lot of these guys will go in and say, okay, I want to be a quarterback, and if I don't make it a quarterback, I'll switch.
Yeah.
Now he feels that, like for instance, Terrell Pryor did that. He was a quarterback at Ohio State. He went as a quarterback, insisted on being a quarterback, and turned to be a wide receiver at like 28, 30 years old.
Yeah.
And did well, but he's 30 years old.
But he wasted 6, 7 years.
6, 7 years,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So Bill Polian's point was, let's make him a wide receiver right now. The guy's fast. He's a great athlete. He's 6'3".
Yeah.
It makes sense to me. But then again, the player's like, well, I'm a quarterback. I want to be a quarterback. I don't want to be a wideout.
Yeah.
So now you sit back and make a business decision like, okay, you know what? Maybe I should be a wideout. That's my best chance to stay in the NFL, to be productive in the NFL, as opposed to being a quarterback, second, third string quarterback so that should be interesting to see how that goes with him.
So what does he do? I mean, so now he really has no resume as a wide receiver, right?
Never played wide out. He's always been a quarterback.
So now he declares himself a receiver and goes to the combine.
Bill Polian's point is that let's work out as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Let's get ready as a wide receiver for the combine. As opposed to going to combine, throwing, being a quarterback, and guys like, okay, he's pretty good.
But he's at this level and not that level.
Yeah,
so he's going to be
right.
He might be a 4th round pick or something if he
even gets drafted by somebody, and it's tough to take a quarterback in a situation where it might take a year, 2 years, or never develop, like Hackenberg, some of these other guys. So I thought that was in the way he said that.
You got to bring up Hackenberg, but you don't bring up what's his name from the Giants?
Who? Davis Webb.
Davis Webb.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dressed for one game. He didn't take a snap.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there too.
You think now, right as the season was ending, you listen to the talking heads from all these different places, and it was pretty much, okay, the Giants are going to take a quarterback.
Right.
Now it kind of seems now that they're starting to back off of that a little bit.
Yep, I think they're going with Eli for 2 more years, and it looks like that Gettleman, the new general manager, is a big offensive line guy. I mean, he wants to build inside out, so
in the trenches.
So I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't use a number 2 pick on offensive lineman, but yet I think he realized that Eli's still productive, still very good, and like we said before on other shows, wide receivers were hurt, the line was horrendous, and he had no elite running back. So what do you expect the guy to do? So I guess the point would be, let's give him those tools, and if he's still not productive, then we'll have to really make a hard decision on that. But Eli's got 2 more years. Why would you make a change with him? I mean, the guy's, first of all, he's a tremendous individual, great guy, good leader in the clubhouse. Everybody respects him. Yep. So what do you got that's better? You got anything that's better than him? I don't think so. And even if you bring a draft a senior in college, it's going to take him a while to make that adjustment. Nobody comes out of college just goes, here I am. Carson Wentz, somebody that has receptions. Even Goff was at 2 years. Those guys are second year, they were better. But there's so many factors involved. I don't know why you would want to disrupt any kind of continuity here. Let him go. I mean, I think the offensive lineman is the key, though. I think he's got to get some help. I know. They
need an offensive line and they need a running game.
All their offensive linemen are unsigned, basically.
Really?
I think 3 of them.
Yeah.
Justin Pugh, they're going to bring back. I think you like him.
Yeah.
They got Weston Richmond is still there, and they got rid of Bobby Hart, but he got signed with somebody else. And then Flowers, I think they're kind of committed to because he was the #1 pick a couple years ago.
Yeah, a little controversial.
And they might move him across to the other tackle spot. So, but the point is they're addressing the offensive line, which I like.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like they've got the new defensive coordinator better, so I think they're going to change from a 4-3 to a 3-4. So they have to look for linebackers in the draft.
Yeah.
They're looking at Raquan Smith of Georgia.
Yeah, because
you
might have a quarterback who's been good, but now you got to replace him because that's a different role. If you go, an outside linebacker in a 4-3, and all of a sudden now it's 3-4. I mean, there's different roles and there's different physical attributes that you need.
They like B.J. Goodwin from Clemson. He was hurt last year, but he's going to hold down the middle, I think. And they got a few other guys that are kind of like on the edge. That I don't know. They're going to depends how they evolve. But I think you're looking at all, and then you got your secondary. You got Rogers Camardi, Janoris Jenkins. You've got Apple. I think they're going to get rid of, but they got Jenkins is a great talent, but he has some issues. Now, were there issues with McAdoo, the coach? Was there issues with other things? We're not the inside. We don't know.
Right.
So are those guys with new coaching and new leadership? Are they going to be able to, evolve and be better players? I mean, Landon Collins is tremendous. I don't think he'll ever be an issue. But if they get Mika Fitzpatrick from Alabama, who's a great safety, a couple guys, I mean, make the difference. I think it's a domino effect where you get some guys that are really, really good with leadership skills. Everybody else kind of falls in.
And it can go positive and go negative. And that's. The locker room guys. You need to have some of those guys, especially like we've been saying. You've got really young millionaires in the locker room, and you need a veteran presence to kind of trade him. Jeter with the Yankees.
I think one of the best things I heard Bill Parcells say in one of the interviews I saw. He said, "You know what?" He goes, "My job is to make the athletes better, only if they want to be better." Yeah. Because if they don't want to be better, he goes, I can't do anything. Which is interesting the way you look at it, because you got some of these guys that we don't want to get better. They're just good at what they are, and if they don't want to get better, then you got to get rid of them. Really, basically, and that's what Belichick does. Some of the guys just, you know what, you don't want to get better, you want to improve, then you're not taking a journey with us.
And it's not necessarily because he's not doing his job. I mean, he might be, whatever. Yep. He's a third down guy or
5
whatever
o'clock,
else.
I'm out of here. Whereas the other guy stays afterwards and does a little extra.
What kind of spreads through the team. Well, Joe's making more money than I am, and he's never watching film. On
he's not lifting extra. He's not doing anything extra
or whatever. Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's something that the public, we don't know behind the scenes or who does what. I mean, that was interesting. So football-wise, you got the combine coming up pretty soon. That's interesting. I think the biggest thing in the combine is these guys know, obviously, about most of the guys, but I think the biggest thing in the combine is are you going to be drafted second round or fifth round?
Yeah.
First round, third round, and that's a high level of money difference in those where you're drafted.
Huge,
obviously.
yeah.
So
and then the interesting thing is the decisions. If you're that blue chip guy and you look like you're going to be in the top 10 pick,
right?
Do you throw at the combine or do you work out at the combine or whatever else? Because hey, if all the mock drafts and the Mel Kipers or whatever else are saying I'm going to go 4, 5, or 6 somewhere in there, do I really want to take a chance of making a few bad throws or whatever else? Because at that point, it's almost like if you're going to hire. You're going to hire for somebody to work for you, and you get 1,000 resumes. You're not looking in the first wave. You're not looking for the great guy. You're looking at how can I get rid of 975 of these.
Process
so
elimination.
Anything I can see. So now all of a sudden, I think if you're in that upper echelon, I'm not working out. I'll take your Wurlitzer test or whatever else.
What's interesting about pulling into the office, I wanted to mention this before I forget. He said that, he goes, it was a direct knock at John Gruden, actually. He says, I don't see going into a classroom with a chalkboard and yelling things at a quarterback and telling him what coverage, and he goes, what does that mean? What does that do to you? And that was interesting the way he said that. He didn't say it was Gruden, but that's what he was referring to. Gruden had all those coaching clinics with all these different guys.
when he was
because I remember watching some of those, and like Deshaun Kaiser, the Browns, he was an ace on that thing. But on the field, he was not hauling an ace. So I mean, obviously it helps if you get recognized on the chalkboard. You can see it mentally. But I mean, Polian's like, you got to watch him play, and he's right.
Yeah.
I think Baker Mayfield is moving sky up the draft boards big time.
Yep.
I think people are just accounting less and less for his height or lack of height, and they realize what a star he is and what a lot of potential he has.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally would take him out of all those guys, but that's just.
So where do you think he's going to go? What's your?
Some people think he might go. Well, the Jets got the 6th pick. I would love to see him get Mayfield, but
I've seen a lot of the mock drafts for whatever those are worth.
Broadway Mayfield, baby.
And let me come back to that one, but I see a lot of guys. I don't.
Who knows?
A lot of the mock drafts don't have him available at 6.
They don't. Yeah, they don't. They got the other 3 quarterbacks.
But he does have that big personality that would play in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got Saquon Barkley. I think should be the top back taken. But I mean, the running backs are considered a dime a dozen in the NFL. I mean, but then you got a couple like Ezekiel Elliott, Barkley that are game changers. Come along once in a blue moon, and I think Barkley's one of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, look how New England uses their backs. Guy gets hurt, boom, next, boom,
Sure.
next guy.
Next man up.
And that's what they do, and they don't put it, and they don't make any money. And then the average, I think the lifespan of a running back in the NFL is like 3.5 seasons.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, it's all running back by committee now.
Yeah.
I mean, years ago, to think of like a fantasy football.
Yep.
You always took running backs first.
Yep.
Not anymore. You take quarterbacks now.
And the biggest
because New England. Okay, I'm going to take their number one back. Well, the number one back's going to get 30% of the carries.
Well, the other thing too that
which might be 12 carries a game.
But another thing that's very important about running backs is that's not really mentioned is that can they block? You get these guys. If you can't block as a running back, and you get an edge rusher coming off the edge, and your running back whiffs on the edge rusher, your quarterback's going to get buried.
And you got a $60 million quarterback.
So I mean, that's why some of these guys you say, oh man, so and so's a good back. So and so can run, but he can't block.
Yeah.
So if they blitz, this guy's in the game and he doesn't run the ball, and the quarterback goes back to pass, and he's supposed to block, and he can't even get a piece of a guy. Your quarterback's going to get blown up, and that's
your biggest investment.
Yeah, that's happened to a lot of the giant running backs that weren't able to block the last couple of years. A guy like Frank Gore, who's tiny, great blocker.
Oh, yeah.
He'll stick his nose in anywhere, and that's why he's lasted 10 or 12 seasons, and he might be able to even make the Hall of Fame at some point. But that's why Ezekiel is a great blocker. So I mean, some of these guys, you got to be able to block. How about Johnny Manziel? Did you see him on TV last week?
Right.
Yeah, bipolar.
That's it's a terrible disease or mania, whatever you want to call it. But
I'm rooting for him. I hope he gets it together.
Yeah.
I really do.
I don't think it came as a surprise to a lot of people. I mean, certainly he's not.
Well, I think the key there is that if he is bipolar, at least he has a problem he can address and hopefully work on and get better, as opposed to I don't know, I'm just a party animal or I'm a party boy or whatever. I mean, I know he came from a very, very rich oil background where his parents are filthy rich, so he always had a silver spoon in his mouth and never had to worry about it.
Yeah.
But now it got to the point where his parents are like, you know what, you're gonna be dead, and straighten your act out. And I guess he got engaged, so he's looking to get back in football. He's working out, this and that, and so he's sober and all this. I think he's an exciting talent.
Yeah.
Great to watch and a lot of fun.
And like you say, if he addresses the personal issues that he has, and if he's marrying a good woman, and I mean, certainly not to the level of him, but Roethlisberger as a young man made some bad decisions and things like that. Now he's kind of found God. He got married, and now he's a great leader. For that team and a responsible, mature player. So people can certainly change, but like you said, you got to kind of face your demons.
Ryan Leaf, I mean, there's a classic example of that guy. And he went through all his demons, and he's doing good things now, with his clinics and teachings and helping other players and things, which is excellent. How about some baseball? We got spring training coming up. Mets. I thought the Mets did a great job signing Jason Vargas. I loved it.
Yeah.
Why not? Cheap.
Yeah. I mean, they've. Again, every year, we've got the best pitching staff in baseball or whatever else, but,
Guy was 18-10 last year.
They're not around. Now, it was a strange 18-10.
Right.
It was all front end loaded.
Made the All-Star team. I mean,
really rough second half of the season.
Right.
But they break camp all the time. With 5 great pitchers.
The only problem I had was Zach Wheeler said something. Why did we need him here or something like that? Or something to that effect, or affects everyone else, the rotation or something.
The way it came down is they signed Vargas, who, again, veteran player, reliable. He's not an ace or anything else, but he's a good pitcher. And Wheeler all of a sudden saying, hey, well, I shouldn't get sent to the bullpen. I'm Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
And I thought a really interesting comment was from Tommy Glavine, who, nothing but respect for Tom Glavine, said, Zach Wheeler hasn't done anything in
pitch better. How about that
for the Mets to warrant him even coming out and saying something.
Don't worry about it. Pitch
now
better.
That being said, the way it's going to work out is I'll guarantee you that Wheeler's going to be in the starting rotation at some point during the year, because you're not going to go.
Don't get hurt.
You're not going to go the whole season without somebody getting hurt.
Don't worry about Vargas. You worry about yourself. Pitch well, stay healthy, and then the innings will take care of themselves.
Yeah, so once again, the Mets,
but I think it's a good get.
Now, they did put somebody on IR already. TJ Rivera's on IR. So
that's right, yeah.
But, knock on wood, they'll come out.
It'll be interesting to see how Gonzalez does at first base. I mean, if he's in shape, and he's a good hitter and productive. The only thing I fear about him is evidently in the clubhouse, he could be a little bit of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
In the past. Now, a guy's 35 years old, maybe he changes, maybe he realizes that he's got to have a different attitude. He's supposed to mentor Dominic Smith, which it sounds good, but a guy's competing for your job, 2 guys, who knows how that pans out.
Yep. And then we talked about in the previous show, but Frazier being there.
Frazier's a great guy for
and that's a great clubhouse guy.
Yep. Now they're catching. They were playing up the catches. Poecki and Travis Denard. They were saying how they're
not good at catcher.
I'm not big on either one of those guys. Yeah. I'm just not. Either one does anything for me.
And I'm not saying that we need a huge offensive power at catcher. But we need a good catcher.
At least 15, 20 home runs anyway, not 8 or 9.
I even forget about the offense.
The one year, I think 2 or 3 years ago, Denard had
but
like
the
30
pass
home
balls and managing managing your pitchers and stuff like that. They're just
Denard's
not
bad like that. They're both not too bad like that. I mean, the thing is, I think the whole key to the Mets season, regardless of all the pitching and this and that, is Cespedes. He's got to stay healthy. The guy makes everyone in that lineup better. He's one of the best players in baseball when healthy. Yep. And if he stays healthy in the 3-hole, I mean, everyone sees better pitches,
and maybe maybe a guy like Frazier getting in there will get to Cespedes and say, look, let's play a little bit less golf this season,
right?
And because when in 15 he was hurt.
You know what's funny?
And he was playing golf in Chicago during that series and was banged up for the World Series.
Did you see Bryce Harper had his first press conference? Did you see that?
No.
So he comes on the first day of spring training, and of course now he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year.
Right.
What's the question they're all asking him?
Right.
The first day of spring training, where are you going next year? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I mean, some of his questions, and before he even got started, this is what he says. He comes in and he goes, listen, I'm not talking about next year. I'm talking about this year with the Nationals, and if you want to insist on talking about next year, I'm walking out of here. That's what he says. Okay. So they don't ask him anything. Boom. Now, I saw another special where they're talking about, okay, how do players treat the media? All right. Now, the players need the media almost more than the way around. And Harper handled it. What if the media says, you know what, you want to talk to them? We're going to leave. Yeah. How do you like that? Now, the point, one of the guys said, it was very funny, not to elaborate too much, is that they said that Cespedes spoke a lot of English when he was in Oakland. Yeah. But as soon as he got to New York, he didn't speak English anymore.
It's translated there, yeah.
Because he doesn't want to talk to the media. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's probably very true. Same thing with, you got Sanchez and the Yankees go out the mound all the time. I mean, you don't need an interpreter when he's talking to all these guys, they speak pretty good English, a lot of these guys, but they just don't. Whatever. That's not.
Yeah, I mean, there's been great players all throughout baseball, and some of them are great with the media, and some of them are.
Yeah.
But the media is different now than it used to be. I can remember talking to my father back. This is years and years ago. When the Babe Ruths and Mickey Mantle and stuff like that, and the lifestyles that they led and everything else. Nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
They didn't know about it because there wasn't Twitter, there wasn't pictures on cell phones and stuff like that. But the reporters didn't report it because if you worked for the New York Post and you were assigned to the Yankees, that was your job.
You're drinking with them, hanging out.
Exactly.
Having a good time.
And that's how you got the stories.
You're doing the same thing they're doing.
and you made it look like, you made all your athletes on your team in the best light,
Right.
because that was your job. And if you started saying things that the players would take offense to,
Right.
well, then you weren't going to get any stories.
Yeah, you're not going to have a job. Yeah, that's the good old days. I also read an article, very interesting, on the Marlins now. Everyone is taking Derek Jeter over the coals for what he's doing with the Marlins. You know what? I think he's doing a great job, and I admire what he's doing. Let me tell you something, George. No one understands. The Marlins have had 14 straight seasons without a playoff.
Yeah.
14 straight. Okay, so
And
what do
this is a
you
team
break it
that,
up?
What, 3 years into their existence, I think, went to the World Series? 3 or 4 years? They were
Way back when.
really early when they went in.
8 straight losing seasons. So what are you bringing? This big dynasty? I mean,
Yeah.
and also they're $400 million in debt as a franchise. Okay, so we're sitting there, the public's going, oh, what's Jeter doing? You have no idea what they've been doing. Nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and he got rid of the mascot, all that sort of stuff. But the point being, he wants a whole new culture and a whole new attitude, and he's building from the ground up. Which I think. I also read an article where they had like the top 100 prospects of baseball, all baseball, and the Marlins had a bunch of them on there. Like outfield stuff. So they got guys coming up that can take the spot of all these so-called superstars.
Superstars with the big
Yelich
contracts
and Osuna.
everything, yeah.
I mean, they got guys that can play.
Hey.
I mean, what do you think? They have nobody on there? I mean, they're going to be
I
decent.
didn't shed a tear that when Stanton left.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, hey, get him out of the National League East as fast as possible.
Yeah.
The Shea Bridge at Citi Field, I think, was about to get renamed the Giancarlo Stanton Bridge.
one more point, the Marlins, they redeemed the worst farm system in baseball. So they're training with these superstars to get good young players to rebuild again, a la Astros and to extent the Yankees.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, what else you do? Just keep on going like you're going and just getting your, you know, I mean. And Jeter also says something interesting. He wants not make a Yankees South, but I mean, he says he wants guys clean cut and he wants them need appearance and he wants to be professionals.
Well, sure, he's going to put his spin on it, and that's who he is.
I mean,
the guy's the ultimate professional.
What's wrong with that? I mean, you know, it's a good role model. The Yankees are a good, you know, franchise to model yourself after. I mean, I think that's what he's trying to do. I mean, and you can't judge in a year, half year, 2 years. It's going to be a process, and people have got to be patient. And they're going to be better than they were. I mean, I think overall, attitude-wise and everything else. So that was very interesting. Red Sox just signed J.D. Martinez.
That's really their first move, right?
First pretty big move, yeah. This 5-year deal. He could opt out after the second and third year, which kind of confusing me. I guess that means you can go elsewhere, but the Red Sox would get compensated for. So other teams would have a tendency not to.
Players option.
Yeah, not to take him because it probably cost them draft picks and everything else.
Yeah.
So, but they kind of had to do that. I think a lot of these guys were just waiting to the last possible minute to get the biggest, longest deal. Hosmer signed with the Padres for 8 years, $144 million. But he's a little younger, though. He's only 28, so that's not quite as bad.
But there's no question one of the slowest free
Yeah.
agent seasons going, to the point that people were talking about owners colluding and this and that.
I guess Scott Boras was all the client.
But then Jaime Garcia gets a $10 million deal. Well, that's not collusion. I mean, if that, you know, again, he's a left-handed pitcher, but he's getting $10 million.
They have academy in Florida for just for guys that are on side. It's kind of interesting.
Well,
hang out.
I mean, there's guys saying if you took all the unsigned free agents right now and put them on a team, they'd contend for a playoff spot. Yeah, they are good.
Well, let's back then. Let's go Mets and we'll go Yankees. Give me a starting lineup for the Mets, top to bottom. You were to manage the Mets.
Batting order?
Start tomorrow. Batting order. Who's leading off for you?
Right now, the batting order to me is the leadoff. I said leadoff spot's a tough one.
You guys decide right now, and you're going to say, "Here's my lineup, Joe."
Rosario's going to go first.
I agree.
2.
Let's assume that Lagares is in center, and not Conforto yet. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, so I'd probably go Lagares 2.
Okay.
And then Cespedes.
Yep.
Bruce. Frazier. 5. Gonzalez.
6. Yeah, Cabrera 2. So you can do Cabrera second. You can bet him second if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And you got your catchers.
Yeah.
The pitcher.
Yeah. The leadoff spot's tough. I mean, Rosario on paper is a leadoff guy.
Yeah, he's a prototype.
But a really small sample last year.
They were saying about maybe Frazier doing it. I don't like that, but
no, I think you need. I think you go Cespedes, Bruce, Frazier. 3, 4, 5.
I'd put, if I was him, I'd put Rosario in there from day one. Say, listen, man, this is a leadoff better. This is our philosophy. This is what you do.
Just don't know what you're going to get. Again, it was a really small sample. I think he hit 249 or something last year, but
put him in there.
It was like 50 at bat, 60 at
And
bat.
I would say, all right, listen, we're giving you 8 weeks or 6 weeks or 4 weeks. You're going to lead off. We're going to reevaluate. We're not. You could go over 20 the first week, it doesn't matter. You're staying lead off for like 4 weeks, and then we're going to sit there and say, okay.
Then we're going to reshuffle on May 1st or something like that.
Instead of going, no, today we do Frazier, today we lead off Rosario. I don't like that going back and forth.
No, I don't think you're putting your players in the best position to succeed if that's the case.
I'm always, I play a lot of baseball, whatever. I always like to have a kind of a set batting order with guys know their roles in batting order. And my philosophy in baseball, whenever I coached or played, is keep the line moving. Even in slow pitch softball, keep the line moving. Get on base, move the runners. Get those big guys back up at the top of the order. That's what you want to do.
So if you're always in the 3-hole, you understand that your role. I'm an offensive guy, but I also need to get on base because I'm not the cleanup guy.
And your 3 guys, your best hitter.
And the 3 guys, the best hitter, and it provides protection. So you've got, again, if it goes Cespedes, Bruce.
Right.
Now Cespedes protects Bruce.
Right.
Bruce then. Right. You can't pitch around Bruce because then you got Frazier.
Yeah.
After that, it does start to fall off a little bit.
I think you got to kind of decide that.
Get Conforto back. But I agree. I
think that.
I can remember as a kid. I mean, in the middle of the winter, you knew you could say, well, this guy bats here, this guy bats here, this guy bats here, on some of those good teams.
Right. Yep. And then I think there's, the platooning left and right is really overrated. It's really over. If you're a professional hitter, you can hit right or left because you should be able to in 3, 4, 5. Yeah. But a lot of people think they move guys around. Yeah.
One of the interesting things with the Mets and Rosario again being a young player is Reyes is still on the team. Right. And Reyes at his prime was. He was not a Ricky Henderson, but he was a great leadoff hitter, and I think
the defense on their heels, they didn't know.
And I think if Reyes can mentor Lagares a little bit and work with him, that would be.
Now, if I'm the Yankees, I'm going with probably Gardner leading off, and probably either Hicks or Judge. I'll go with Judge 2. I'll go Bird 3, Sanchez 4. Stanton 5, that type of thing. Okay. I think Gregorius, you can put him in the 2 spot because he gets lefties. There's so much flexibility there. And then I have my young kids. I'd have Andujar and Globin or Torres at 8th and 9th, and just let them figure it out. Yeah. 7th would be Hicks or Gregorius, whichever you have left. Yeah. Now you got the Red Sox. Let's do a little Red Sox. We don't do too much Red Sox. I lead off with Bogarts. You got Benintendi for left field. Bat third, probably Mookie Betts. And then you got Martinez will probably hit 4th. Yeah. Hanley Ramirez at 5th. Now Ramirez will be playing 1st. Martinez would be a DH. And you got Devers playing 3rd. He probably hit 6th. 7th would maybe Nunez playing 2nd. But Joy is out until May with his knee. Yeah. It's pretty bad, they say. So I don't know. Maybe. You got Jackie Bradley, and then you got your catcher Vasquez. That'll be round up your starting 9 there. Yeah. David Price made some remarks to Martinez. Did you hear that? Yeah. He said something about, I've never seen so much negativity in the press in my life in Boston. Oh, my God. Way to get it going, you knucklehead. Why do you have to say that? Why would you have to say it?
And I look at it the other way, again, being a New York sports fan, is, I mean, certainly more media attention in Boston than if you were in some other cities. But those they get a pass on a lot of stuff up there in New York. You do something wrong for the Jets or the Mets or the Yankees or the Knicks or something like that. Nobody's pulling any punches. They're letting you know it, and the fans are letting you know it and stuff like that. Up in Boston, it's a little bit different. So if he's coming in with that, if he's got that attitude about the Boston media.
And David Price says, well, they're on me pretty good because I made $218 million last year signing that big contract. I'm like, that comes with the territory, pal. I mean, what do you make that much money, you're supposed to do the right thing. And when he called out Dennis Eckersley on a bus or a flight last year, and they almost had a fist fight. I mean, really, just just play the game and don't worry about all that.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I mean, always a soap opera thing. I think John Farrell did not have a good handle on that last year with the Red Sox. I think Alex Cora will do a better job with that.
Yeah, they've had a rough stretch up there for managers and controlling the clubhouse and things like that.
Yeah.
So now one of the topics that's going on around baseball is speeding up the game, and
Absolutely.
there's a lot of things, a lot of different ideas and things like that.
Actually, I got
certain things I don't agree with.
Yep.
But what do you got?
I got from the Post. Actually, I brought this with us to reference the Post. These are the new rules. You get 6 mound visits per game.
Right.
Okay. 1 visit per extra inning. Extra.
Okay. Now that's 6 altogether.
Not including a pitching change.
Right.
Okay. So now a mound visit constitutes anybody on a mound, shortstop, coaches, catcher, anybody. So that's a mound visit.
Okay.
Now,
so it's not the pitching coach coming out of the dugout.
right. You can go to mound and talk to the pitcher anytime you want until the batter gets in the batter's box, and then it starts your thing. So you can the infielder can go to the mound and clean the spikes for a second or two. That's not considered a mound visit.
Yep.
They're trying to shorten the game up a little bit. There was you watch some games where the catcher's going out every other pitch, for crying out loud. And they time the average between 20 and 30 seconds for the catcher to go out there, talk to the pitcher before the umpire goes off. So let's go, move it along.
Yeah, and then in another 10 more seconds.
Yeah.
And then
before you know it, you probably had 20 minutes, half hour to the ball game.
Yeah.
Which I think it's what we're trying to eliminate. So I think that's a good. And then you get somebody. I don't like to think where you can challenge all these close play, say at first base, for instance. I mean, first of all, you got to sit there with close play, and the manager said, wait,
keep my players on the field.
Wait to hear from above. First of all, your first base coach, your first baseman, and the runner, they're right there. How many times do you see a guy go in and he turns around and safe? He's right most of the time. You know what I mean? A lot of time. A better thing would be sliding to second base, and it looks like he tagged him. He didn't touch him, and the runner knows that. He's like, no, he didn't touch him. And then the replay confirms that. So what I'm saying is that, you can't go by honesty by a player, but
by the reaction.
A lot of times the players are pretty much spot on, or the first base coach is right there.
And I think, again, we've been talking about the maturity level and behavior of players and stuff like that. I think, if you're going to limit reviews or really clamp down on that, it's on the base runners. It's his responsibility, because it's like that kid playing rec league that every time the rec league basketball, and every time the whistle blows, he's like, oh, it wasn't me. Well, no, you're hacking the heck out of the guy. So if I'm running through first and I'm always throwing my hands up saying I'm safe, but I'm not.
Right.
Well, because that even better than the first base coach, I think the runner knows. He's got the best information.
Yeah.
So if he's going to signal to the dugout, hey, I was safe, let's review this. Maybe I don't know. You fine him. Fine him if it doesn't get reversed.
Here's an interesting statement. All right, guy, they have too many offense. What's the penalty? What are they going to do? See you in the back of the head? So here's what it says.
Too many visits to the mound.
Umpires shall direct players and enforce the inning break and pitching change time limits on the field. Players who consistently violate this time limits will be subject to discipline. It doesn't say what kind of discipline.
Yeah.
So whatever. So I think it's a work in progress.
Well, that's probably got to the players' union and everything else.
Yeah, but at least they're looking.
Yeah, there are. What if they're going to say that the batter is coming out of the box and taking too long to go in or whatever else? The umpire can decide. Okay, we'll go ahead and throw a pitch, and that's a strike. One of the interesting things, and this is a little bit more far-fetched, but again, in the National League, I see more of this than say in the American League, is the matchup pitching changes.
Yeah.
You bring in, we've got a right-handed batter coming in. We're going to bring in a right-handed pitcher. He gets an out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, did your job. And I thought one of the interesting things, if you bring a guy into a game, if you bring a reliever into the game, he's got to throw to 3 batters or 2 batters or whatever else. Because, Jerry Manuel, who came after Willie Randolph, it was...
Yeah.
If he had one of those, the little wristbands and was tracking his steps, man, in innings 7, 8, and 9, he would get a day's
especially
worth
with
of steps in
the fall, like September 1st, when you expand a roster to 40 players, you got like 10 more pitchers you could play with. And I agree there. It's just too much with these righty lefties, this and that, and back and forth. And I think a lot of managers overmanage a lot in these games. They overmanage it. It's like, you know what? let him go. I mean, just because it's a righty lefty or a certain. But then again, there's so many analytics now. They think they have all these stats and all these answers to who's matchups and things like that.
Blame it all on Tony La Russa. He was the guy that started that.
Yeah.
But and that's all you got to go on. And I mean, you can argue, does a manager have any impact at all?
Yeah, I say minimal.
And I think a bench coach has a better handle on it than the head coach.
What drives you crazy about baseball too, you watch, especially in the National League, is how come pitchers can't bunt? Or how come they're not able to bunt themselves?
How come they're not?
I mean, first of all, you're a starting pitcher. You pitch once every 5 days. What are you doing the other 4 days besides doing your individual workouts?
Yeah. You
can go in the cage and bunt for a half hour.
Yeah.
You can take some swings. If you can bunt or hit as a pitcher, you enhance your value.
Sure.
The manager doesn't have to pitch there for you. You got Massa Bumgarner who can rake. You've got somebody DeGrom hit. Some of these guys can hit. Syndergaard. These guys can hit. Well, so you can't take it for granted.
If you're a major league pitcher, at some point in your life, you could hit.
You were probably a shortstop or a cleanup better at some level.
At all the lower levels,
no doubt.
The best athlete, if he's not pitching, he's playing basically shortstop or center field. And so they're all hitting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, all of a sudden you can't hit anymore when you're a pro.
Now, granted, maybe the kid was, he was a good hitter in high school, and obviously it's a lot different. But the skills are there. Yeah. But I mean,
you don't have to bunt like 5 hours a day. Just in a half hour, boom.
But and how many being able to bunt, and even for a position player, being able to bunt. But I mean.
Well, even worse than that, George, is the bunting form. Oh my God, these guys got the bat and they're poking it. Instead of turning around like you're taught, shoulder high, and you pull back and you use like a rudder and you bend your knees and you guide the ball. These guys I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. And even as a hitter, I mean, there are some pitchers that are automatic outs. In the major league, and so instead of getting 27 outs a game, you have to get 24, 25. And that's a big out. Out is
and I'll take if I'm watching my team and the guy doesn't get an out, but it's not a 4-pitch at bat. Yep. I'll take that.
And how do you think you got Massa Bumgarner on deck bat ninth? What kind of pitch do you think the eighth batter is going to get?
Right.
They're going to pitch to him. So they get a bunch of crap. So he might get better pitches, and it might. And then he gets on. Then you get another at bat. You get your top of the lineup. I mean, I think that's very, very underrated.
That's why I think the 8th spot in the National League is very important because if that 8th guy makes the 3rd out of the inning, that's huge. Because now you're basically starting the next inning.
Win it out.
You only need 2 outs in the next inning.
Right.
So you get that.
Right. Those are some of the little things I think that are kind of underrated or kind of under the radar that I think can win you a ball game here and there, and are huge. Instead of getting hit for in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, maybe you go another inning, save your bullpen, save your team, and not waste a pitch hitter off the bench. I mean, those are little things I think that are kind of under the radar. Why can't guys hit?
That was another suggestion was for the shortening up the game is that somebody goes in a pinch hit, he's in the game the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Which I think you're messing with.
Or they say at extra innings you start everybody with 2-1 count. That was not ideal.
That's where I don't like it. When it gets to the 11th inning, we're going to put a man on second to start the inning. All right, we got to make sure we do our good representation. We've got 2 minutes left. We're going to talk about the Olympics.
You know what I liked? One year when I was coaching high school baseball, that we had a reentry rule where the starter could leave and reenter again. So in other words, you could play 4 innings and then have someone come in at your position, and then the starter can go back in at the end of the game. So in other words, like, just say you're winning 6-0, and all of a sudden you're 6-5, and take the guy out and put him back in. But that'll never happen either. But I mean,
you do that in the National League.
That was kind of fun.
You could double switch in the National League.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. Pitcher's going to go to right field. Right field's out of the game. Bring a pitcher in.
All right. So winding down here, we've got another 2 weeks.
Olympics. Got to talk about the Olympics, Joe.
I haven't watched
it too much. How
about you? No,
I watch curling. I love curling. Curling's like shuffleboard on ice. It's awesome.
Well, plus they got those guys who were caught with doping, right?
Yeah. One of the Russian guys.
Husband-wife team.
Which Stamina.
Make sure they wanted. That's what they set it for.
So again,
alertness, I should say.
It's shuffleboard. So what are they taking
They wanted to make sure they were focused. That's what they said.
Okay.
I'm not saying it.
Because I looked at it. It's basically shuffleboard on ice.
Focus.
Who plays shuffleboard? People in retirement homes play shuffleboard. So I thought maybe he got caught maybe taking Geritol or something.
So I don't know what happened there, but anyway,
it's been interesting. I got to be honest. Not a huge guy. It's kind of fun to watch a little bit here and there. The time change makes it hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've watched some curling, the hockey, women's hockey. I mean, talk about, you know,
Yeah.
you knew it was going to happen there.
I mean, it's so basically we got off season coming. Okay. All right, so that's going to do it for today.
All right. Hey, thanks.
We got the cutoff.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, George. Good
All
job.
right.